Hello, and welcome back to another encouraging, inspiring, and including episode of the Achieving Unity Success Formula weekly podcast, where we help turn chaos into connection and purpose into action, true action. I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Achieving Unity Success Formula, also known as the Unity Success Formula. www.unitysuccessformula.com, which is dedicated to improving lives by encouraging, inspiring, and including others. Today, I am honored to introduce a truly remarkable guest, Ronald Stein, a special guest who is dedicated to helping all of us become more informed, empowered citizens when it comes to the very foundation of our modern lives: energy. We know how many of you are on a journey to improve your lives and the world around you, and understand how energy systems truly work is a massive piece of that puzzle. Our guest, Ronald Stein, he is a professional engineer and also an American engineer, as well as an author, speaker, and consultant who has become a leading fact-driven voice in promoting what he terms as energy literacy. He's here to help us move forward, move beyond simple sound bites, and really understand the full scope of the energy that most of us pay for every time we sit down in our car, every time we turn on the heater or the air conditioner, from the power outlets in our homes to the materials that make up most of our essential products. But first, before we delve into this insightful discussion, let me briefly introduce my company, Reality Focused Dynamics, where it all began. As you see on the first slide, I have my gift to you. It's just a PDF, but it's something that talks about achieving unity. It talks about ending the anger or the disconnection or the frustration or any of the processes of prejudice or prejudgment. So I hope you'll go look at the QR code on the bottom left, get a copy of our Unity Guide, give me feedback. And to do that, we'll give you another email shortly. URL shortly. That takes you directly to sending messages to us. On the bottom right, you'll see the QR code for our Achieving Unity blog. I write articles, different things about achieving unity, about building bridges, about agile, about business. So I hope you read those, give me feedback, let me know what you think, and let's talk about those more. When we go to the next slide, we talk about the Achieving Unity Success Formula, and we are on our weekly podcast number 61. Yes, we're here every Wednesday for as long as we can, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'm glad you're here with us to be able to take advantage of this. But we've gone for over a year now. We hope to go longer. We may have to adjust time frames in the future, but we want to make sure that you're here with us. Achieving Unity Success Formula, where we all can benefit by helping each other and encouraging, inspiring, and including everyone around us. As we see on our logo on this slide, it truly reflects the core of what we do and how we stand firm. Do you notice how focused is at the heart of our logo? That's because everything that we explore, from reality-focused dynamics to success-focused solutions, they all revolve around clear, intentional direction. No beating around the bush. Let's get down to the answer. Let's create solutions. In fact, the concept of being focused is so core to us in achieving unity and in creating solutions that it's even reflected in our business phone number, 303-362-8733, which spells 303 focused on your phone keypad. We believe that being truly focused on what matters, we can create meaningful change and achieve lasting unity. So if you look at our slide there, again, on the left, you'll see our QR code for our website home. Go to the first page of our website. And on the right is that one I talked about earlier. That QR code will take you how to contact us. Questions, ideas, thoughts on our blog, please give us feedback. We appreciate you. As we said, reality-focused dynamics equals success-focused solutions. What do? We show you proven, compassionate strategies that turn conflict into lasting harmony at home, at work, and in every relationship that matters. Personal relationships, professional relationships, and social. Are you ever frustrated by tension or arguments? My 7-step roadmap gives you the tools to move from conflict to collaboration quickly and confidently. Are you craving stronger trust and connection? We help you discover communication tactics that build respect. Don't we all want respect? Repair relationships through that respect and unify teams and families alike. We help you transform that conflict into connection, together achieving unity. Unity inspires us in our homes. It shapes the society that we live in, and it transforms our workplaces. We help you turn that frustration into understanding. Have you ever heard anybody say, "What the frustration?" Okay, they may not have said frustration there. What we do is we help you find the value in your actions instead of reacting in that anger or that frustration. We show that anger holds no value at all. It is just actions not gaining effective results. Anger, A-N-G-E-R, actions not gaining effective results. Yes, life happens in every relationship, from personal to professional, from parenting time to partnerships, in the boardroom, in the bedroom, in every room in between. What we do is we show you how to embrace those challenges and encourage a more inspired and inclusive future. If you look at that EII acronym, you'll see it more if you go out to our blog. I have a 10-article series talking about EII, encouraging, inspiring, and including others. Again, love to have your feedback. Check out the site, read the articles, and get back to me. One vision, one goal, achieving unity in every area of our life. So what is our call to action? Well, ditch the drama. Let's get stuff done. Let's get beyond all that anger and that hate and that frustration. We'll show you how to turn your life from what may seem at times like a dumpster fire to a well-oiled machine. Wouldn't that be great at home, at work? Achieving unity is the path to stronger relationships, inspired leadership, and lasting change. Lifetime improvements. We do consulting, coaching, courses, and keynote speeches. Contact us today. www.achievingunity.com. Call us 303-362-8733 or 303-FOCUS, or catch that QR code down at the bottom of the screen. Let us know where you are. Let us know how we can help you. Our next podcast coming up, we have a whole month of them showing here, and we go through December. We'll probably do recorded ones on the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's, but we have it set up going into January. So next week, on November 19th, Debbie Fennell comes and talks to us. Building lists through relationships. Who are your friends? Are you an entrepreneur? Who are your clients? Who are your customers? Who are the people that are important in your relationship? Come back next week and Debbie Fennell will talk to us about that. On our next week, on 11/26, we did have a change at the last minute. Someone had to move the appointment, but have another person coming. We'll have that updated next week. On December 3rd, Anita Sarda will come talk to us. What inspires you to lift others? What do you want others to help you do to lift you? That's what Anita's going to come talk to us about. What inspires you to lift others in your process? As I'm talking about, encouraging, inspiring, and including others, we'll see the parallel. How Anita and I work together in that process. So come see us December 3rd. The week after that, Steve Grossman, Selling Yourself, personally and professionally. Are you shy? Are you outgoing? A little bit afraid to step out? Steve will come in here and help us sell ourselves, who we are, and what we can do for others. Selling yourself personally and professionally? Come back and talk to us December 10th. Hope to see you every week. And today, a big honor. I am excited. I can't wait to hear what Ronald has to talk to us about. I've got some great questions coming up. And I hope as you're listening, you'll think of some questions and let us know. But Ronald, as I said, he is a professional engineer. He's an ambassador for energy and infrastructure. He's a co-author of Pulitzer Prize nominated book, Clean Energy Exploitations, and a policy advisor on energy literacy for the Heartland Institute of the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. He is also a national TV commentator on energy and on infrastructure with Rick Amato. An engineer, author, and speaker, Ronald is the founder of the PTS Advance, a California-based company and a passionate advocate for energy literacy. He emphasizes the critical distinction between renewables like wind and solar, which generate intermittent electricity, and crude oil, which is essential for producing over 6,000 products that sustain modern life. Through his publications and talks, Ronald encourages open, fact-based discussions about energy realities, and the role of fossil fuels in supporting economies and lifestyles around the world. He is a co-author of 3 influential books on energy literacy: Clean Energy Exploitations, Just Green Electricity, and Energy Made Easy. His mission is to help citizens and policymakers alike understand the true complexities of global energy use and the importance of informed decision-making for the future. If you look at his URL down at the bottom right, energyliteracy.net, please go out to it. Look at it. Develop questions. Get back to Ronald. He wants to know what we want to know. So please help me welcome Mr. Ronald Stein. Ronald, thank you so much for being here.
Mark, glad to be aboard.
It's exciting to have you here. It's just so wonderful to be able to talk about energy that we all think we know about it. We turn on our heating in the house. We turn on our air conditioning. We fill up our cars. Before we plug into this topic, maybe you can help us out. Would you introduce yourself a little bit? Introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us who you are, what you actually do, and what got you passionate about helping people understand the true story behind energy.
Yes, I started my career working at Fluor Corporation, which is a big engineering construction company around the world, and basically designing and building refineries around the world. And after 20 years of doing that, I started a staffing company to provide staffing to the refining sector. And after 30 years, we grew that to be one of the largest staffing firms in that sector. And ironically, just a few months ago, we wound up selling it. But the last 5 years, my 2 sons and CEO have been running the business, and I've been focusing on authoring books on energy literacy, and I'm a columnist on America Out Loud News. So my articles go out every Monday and get reposted around the world and probably get exposed to half a million people around the world. And they co-author a lot of people around the world, from Japan, India, Australia, et cetera, and Brazil. But let me give the folks just a real quick summary of energy. Just a few hundred years ago, before oil was really discovered. The world was unspoiled, dominated by Mother Nature and the wild animal kingdom. There were fewer humans competing with the animals due to humanity's limited ability to survive what Mother Nature provided. But before oil, life was hard, it was dirty, and many weather and diseases were, related deaths from that. After oil, you have to understand oil is black tar. It's almost useless unless you can refine it and make it into usable products. So after oil, the products made from oil allowed us to create various modes of transportation, a medical industry, electronics, communications. Those products from oil reduced infant mortality, extended longevity from 40 years of age to more than 80 today, and gave the public the ability to move anywhere in the world via planes, trains, ships, and vehicles, and virtually eliminated deaths from most diseases and from all forms of weather. All that
This is all
apparently
coming from oil that you're talking about.
is the products from oil. It was interesting. I was interviewed on a New York TV station once and recently, and they mentioned, "Hey, Ron, we understand you're pro oil." I said, "Time out. I'm not pro oil. I'm pro the products we get from oil. The products is what made us what we are today." And all of that apparent progress is being blamed on the introduction of oil into society. After oil was discovered a few hundred years ago, the world populated from 1 to 8 billion people. 200 years ago, the world had 1 billion people. And in less than 200 years, we went from 1 to 8 billion. And it wasn't because of oil, it was because of the products. We have a medical industry, you have airports and hospitals. It's a totally different world. Population growth was not from the useless black tar. It was from the products and the transportation fuels made from oil that continue to be demanded by humanity. The world has yet to come up with a clone or substitute for that black tar to maintain the supply chain of the products and the fuels now demanded by the 8 billion people on this planet. Hospitals and the entire medical industry and the health and well-being of billions on this planet will suffer from the transition to wind turbines and solar panels as the so-called renewables cannot support the supply chain of the thousands of products demanded by doctors and hospitals, i.e. the more than 6,000 products and transportation fuels that are made with petrochemicals manufactured from crude oil. And, today we have a totally different society. Wind and solar only generate electricity. We commonly hear wind and solar energy as going to replace fossil fuels. Mark, they do different things. Wind and solar generates electricity. They make nothing.
And we're not putting them down in any way. I mean, it's great to use them, right?
Well, when you go into a hospital, when you go into an airport, go into an office, go to a shopping center, try to identify something that you see that was made from a wind turbine. I keep joking that, electricity can charge my iPhone, but a wind turbine cannot make my iPhone. It's all made.
So what you're saying is all the products that you're showing when you have that phone up there, you're showing us that this phone, and I've got a cover on it, the plastics and things like that, those are all made from oil byproducts, right?
Exactly, yes. And I'm 100% in favor of getting rid of oil if we have a replacement, but we don't. And our leaders today are enthusiastically supporting wind and solar to replace fossil fuels. But all the solutions they come up to replace fossil fuels are made with oil. You have to understand that electricity came after oil. Let me repeat that, came after oil. Because all electrical generation methods, we got hydro, coal, natural gas, nuclear, wind, solar, they're all built with the products and the components and equipment that are made from the oil derivatives made from oil. They have
So when I
Where
look at sorry to interrupt you real quick, but so when I look at one of those large windmills that I love seeing out there on that windy field, a lot of the products that it took to make that windmill that's only generating electricity, like you said, were built from the oil byproducts.
exactly.
That's how
Well,
that windmill got there.
right, right. And, they all need wire, insulation, computers, and that's all made from oil. Without crude oil, there can be no electricity. In addition, everything that needs electricity, quote, quote, my iPhone,
Right.
is also made from the oil derivatives manufactured from oil. The TV, the defibrillators in the hospital. Without crude oil, there will be nothing that needs electricity. Electricity, as I mentioned, can charge my iPhone, but neither wind turbines or solar panels can make an iPhone. I'll repeat it. I'm all in favor of ridding the world of crude oil usage, but we've yet to identify a clone to replace oil that will support the materialistic needs of the 6,000 products and transportation fuels that have allowed the world to populate from 1 to 8 billion. If we get rid of
And
oil, we're back to the 1800s.
and again, once we have those products, because I'm still working on the benefits of reducing the use of oil, which is where we're coming up with our wind turbines and waterfalls and anything that we use in that nature. It's to reduce the use, but like you're saying, and that's what I'm hearing you say, the energy literacy, to learn more about energy, and that, as you're saying, reducing that use of oil is great, but it's still required. We still must have it. Too many of the products that we use on a day-to-day basis, like the phone that you picked up, it's a perfect example. The laptop that I'm using right now to put this together, the parts in the camera, the parts for my light, they're all made of oil byproducts, right?
Exactly. And we just take it as granted. But the confusion, I guess, in society is you keep talking about wind and solar energy. I'm very cautious when using the word energy. I always refer to wind and solar electricity because that's all they can do. They can make absolutely nothing for society. And and then you talk about wind and solar, it's under favorable conditions. And the only reason wind and solar even exists is because it's mandated by government, it's subsidized by government. There have been no wind.
And that, sorry to interrupt you again, but I want to make sure that people understand when it's subsidized by government, where's government getting this money?
You and I are paying for it.
Our tax dollars. That's exactly, and I just
That's
want to make
right.
sure to emphasize that when people talk, well, the government will pay for it. Well, where's the government getting this money? It's coming from us. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
Right.
I always want to toss that in when people talk about government pays for things. But anyway, yes, they'd subsidize it with our tax dollar, right?
Right. Because there's almost close to 100,000 wind turbines in the world today. Zero, I repeat that, zero have been funded with private money. It's all subsidized money.
Wow.
And again, they only generate electricity and they have a limited lifespan of 20 to 30 years. You take the EV, it's 100% made with oil. The tires, the wires, the insulation, the computers, all the electronics, it's 100% made with oil. And when you talk about the battery, that's the reason I wrote that book, Clean Energy Exploitations, because it's available on Amazon, Clean Energy Exploitations. It documents the fact that to go to EV batteries, you need a lot of lithium and cobalt and a lot of other exotic minerals and metals. And it's all being mined in developing countries. And where they have no labor laws, they have no environmental laws. So we're exploiting people to have yellow, brown, and black skin to mine for this lithium and cobalt. And the environmental degradation on those developing countries is atrocious. But that's
Okay,
okay.
here's what I'm
That's
hearing you
okay.
say.
It's
Well,
okay. We're going green.
but what I just heard, I think you talk about literacy, and I love this. what you're saying is to mine some of these chemicals that you're talking about is dangerous.
Oh, yes,
Is
yes.
that what I just heard?
In fact, we were very selective. The photo we used for the cover of the book was a photograph in Africa with a military guy holding an Uzi, overseeing a family, digging for the stuff by hand. We're talking 6-year-old kids mining for this stuff. And when people ask me if I would buy an EV, I say no. And they say, why? I says, for ethical and moral reasons. They say, well, what do you mean by that? You know, and I said, and I basically talk about the book, Clean Energy Exploitations, because I'm not willing to financially encourage China and Africa continue exploiting your people who have yellow, brown, and black skin, continue the environmental degradation on your land to get the materials for that battery. On the contrary, our government is. Our government is subsidizing you to buy an EV. So they're providing financial incentives for China and Africa. Continue exploiting your people of yellow, brown, and black skin. Continue the environmental degradation on your land. We're going green. I think it's
Wow. So that,
unethical and immoral, but that's
oh,
my
I see your points. And I appreciate what you're saying because there's so much, and I don't mean just run it in the ground, but energy literacy. That literacy, that's what we do in achieving unity, is education, making people more knowledgeable. I'm going to get off the subject for just a second, but I'll come back. It's because some people that are homeless, some people that are having problems in this world, is because they don't know. They don't know any better. They don't know what they can do. Sure, a lot of people have been told that they can do more, but it's not in their beliefs. They don't
right.
understand that. So what we want to do is to be able to educate more. And that's what I see what you're doing, Ronald, is yes, we have oil out there and it is an ugly black liquid, but what does that ugly black liquid do for us? And I liked also what you just said about wind and solar. It's not producing energy, it's only producing electricity. And how many people know that?
Not too many. That's the reason that I'm so prolific about my articles and co-authoring with people around the world. The interesting thing about oil is everybody is blaming oil for climate change, et cetera, et cetera. And, you don't have to overregulate or mandate stopping use of oil. Just stop using it. Well, the way to stop using it's like a restaurant. If a restaurant's serving bad food, people stop going to it and eventually goes out of business. Well, if you stop using the products, there's no need for that black tar. But which governor is going to come out and say, we're going to close the hospitals, we're going to close the airports, we're going to close
Can't
the
drive.
shopping centers? I mean, you stop using the products, there's no need for oil. Those refineries, like I say, they're only producing fuel for merchant ships and planes. There's 50,000 merchant ships that exist today that didn't exist 200 years ago. There's
Well, one of the
20,000,
things, go ahead.
yeah, commercial planes, 50,000 military aircraft. These didn't exist 200 years ago. And it's only
Well,
because of the products.
one of the things that I see, and I agree with you that too many times, and that's where I go off the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle of the 80-20, but I take it to 20-60-20. Everything we do from politics to education to just social, there's 20% extreme one way and there's 20% extreme the other way. And I'm not just talking about left and right politics, I'm talking everything that we do. And some of the things that we're doing as far as how we create the products from oil and the smoke that goes in the air, there are better ways to do what we're doing and we're learning from it. So I don't want to take away from that, that we're not improving the way that we create the chemicals in the process and the compounds that we use from oil. And I don't think you're doing that either. There's a
Right.
better way to do it, but stop blaming the oil for everything because people don't understand, as I hope we mentioned several more times, how many products that we use on a day-to-day basis, the simple mouse in my hand, the
Right.
products that are used from this that are oil-based products. So what do we do?
We have to focus on efficiencies and conservation because it's not going to be there forever. The world's been around for 4 billion years. It's a 4 billion-year-old planet. And there's a lot of talk, how much oil reserves are there, and proved reserves keep changing because of technology. Fracking, we're able to find more oil. But do we have 100 years left? Or are you consuming like 100 million barrels a year? And that the well's going to run dry at some point in time. Is it 100 years? Is it 500 years? Is it 5,000 years? It's not being replenished, not the way we're drawing it out of the earth. And Mark, I will guarantee you this 4 billion-year-old planet is going to be here with or without us. So,
Good point.
and so at some
With or
point in
without us
time,
talking on our cell phone.
that's right. At some point in time, it is going to run dry. And if it runs dry, then we're going back to the 1800s when they used no oil. But again, life was hard and we competed with the animal kingdom. It was a different world. And,
It's a much different world.
I live here in California, and Governor Newsom, he has me working overtime. Every time he opens his mouth, I've read another article. But Governor Newsom, he's got no answers how to run an economy without crude oil. Gavin Newsom has constantly attacked the supply and the manufacturing of crude oil. It's the basis of every product that's demanded by society. Newsom remains oblivious to economy's demands for a supply chain of products and transportation fuels currently derived from those fossil fuels. He seems unaware that so-called renewables like wind and solar cannot make anything, cannot make fuels, cannot make products. And they only generate electricity under favorable weather conditions. Not to mention the many uses of drugs and medicines many of us take to keep us alive and healthy. It's all made from oil derivatives. More importantly, the greatest threat to humanity is running out of crude oil before we have an alternative to meet the supply chain of everything that we see in our daily lives. That's the challenge we have today. And when I talk to people, I try and not use the word energy. I either talk about electricity, products, or fuels. It's kind of lumped into energy. But no, when they keep talking about wind and solar, you're only talking about electricity. But that they're not going to be able to support the supply chain. They're not going to be able to support airports staying open, hospitals staying open. And so, yeah, the longevity of life is directly related to all those products. And
that's one of the things that we want to do is to maintain. And I like renewable energies. I think they're great. But the question comes out is how much are we saving? How much oil are we using to make these products that are required to have that solar system on our house or that windmill out on that beautiful windy field? How much are we saving putting that together by generating electricity that we don't need to come from oil?
I think what you're going to see, and it's developing around the world, probably more of a use of nuclear, because nuclear has a smaller footprint. It generates continuous, uninterruptible electricity, which wind and solar cannot do. It has a much smaller footprint. It uses the least amount of materials, and it'll run almost forever. Hey, take the Navy. I mean, Navy has a 70-year track record. All the submarines, all the aircraft carriers are nuclear powered. And have you ever seen
70 years nuclear power?
Yeah, have you ever seen an aircraft carrier? That is as big as an airport floating on water. It's huge. It holds like 4,000, sailors and all the aircraft. And yeah, they've been doing this for 70 years. with 0 fatalities.
Wow.
And so, yeah,
Again, that literacy, how many people know that? How many people know how much nuclear power they're using that we don't even think about, and not oil? And that big fact that you just gave, 70 years without one single fatality, right?
right. Small modular reactors are probably going to be the thing, especially for developing countries, because they take a small footprint, and everybody needs electricity because everybody wants water, sanitation, and yeah, everything is based on electricity. And what quicker way to do it than have a small modular reactor serve 100,000 people? The Army's looking at it to for their remote sites, and yeah, it's for the ways to generate electricity. Obviously, coal, it's abundant, but it's a polluter. Natural gas, it's abundant, less polluting. But nuclear, you're going to see a lot more of that. And ironically, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, it's ironic, before the Nuclear Regulatory Commission was formed, I think we built like 50 nuclear power plants around the country. And the Nuclear Regulatory Commission was formed, I think, 45 years ago, something like that. And in all that time, we built none. They've only approved 2 for permits. But yeah, they're basically a roadblock. So you're seeing nuclear developed in China and Russia, South Africa. Yeah, we're going to be losing our nuclear leadership around the world, except for the Navy. But yeah, the nuclear technology is going to it's going to be happening. And Russia and China right now have the 2 operating small modular reactors. And so, yeah, we just have to get the United States to join the nuclear revolution that's going on.
And
And again,
that's right. And
that's only for electricity. That's not replacing fossil fuels. I joke that I live here in California, so the best thing about getting rid of oil is Governor Newsom won't have any grease to comb his hair.
which is made out of oil products, byproducts. Oh, that's bad, Ronald. Well, again, what we're saying now, let me just kind of clarify what you just said. Nuclear energy also only
Nuclear electricity.
creates
Nuclear
nuclear
electricity.
electricity. Okay. There you go. Thank you. Nuclear electricity, because that's all it's doing is creating electricity.
Exactly.
This right here is so profound, Ronald. I didn't know this. I'm a STEM kind of person. I love science. I didn't know that. I never thought about it that way. So what you're
Well,
telling me is
the
all 3 of
demand,
those. Go ahead, please.
yeah, the demand for electricity is increasing. The world's still populating, artificial intelligence, data centers. The amount of electricity is going to be humongous. And the tough part about trying to do it with wind and solar is you can't do it in the metropolis. You have to do it out in the open field. Whereas nuclear, you can put that right in the center of the population. Because when you have a wind turbine out in the boondocks, then you got to get a transmission line to bring it back to where the people are.
That's right.
And so, and you're just adding more and more cost, and you need more and more products to do that. Like I say,
And
everything.
what's the feasibility of putting a windmill farm on top of the buildings in downtown Chicago?
You can't, because the
Exactly.
the turbine blades are almost as big as an airport
Huge.
by itself.
Right.
Huge.
Right. I was just joking about Chicago being the windy city, and as you mentioned, and as I've mentioned, they're out in the big field. But as you also mentioned, the transmission lines, because as we see the wind farms, they're way out there. So what's it costing to transmit that energy, that electricity from the farm into the city where it's usable, or to another battery where it can be stored until it's used, right?
I live here in California. California is a very temperate climate. And I think we have like 20% of all the EVs in the entire country are here in California. Because if you live in a hot climate and you want to use your car during the day, you need to run your air conditioner. Well, Mark, the air conditioner runs off the battery. If you live in North Dakota in the winter and you want to use it in the winter, you want to heat the car, Mark, the heater runs off the battery. So your mileage gets reduced. And if you run out of electricity in North Dakota or out in the desert where it's 120 degrees, yeah, you're in bad shape.
And I look at that from another perspective, is you're bringing us a new bridge of understanding, literacy about electricity. Because just think when Katrina hit, I'm down south right now, I'm in southern Mississippi, not far from Bay St. Louis, which was the eye of Katrina. It's the thought that when Katrina came through, how many homes were without electricity for an extended period of time? So they had no heating, they had no cooling, which is important down here in the South. They had nothing to work with.
Yes. My passion with all my articles and books is to stimulate conversations. Because, like Governor Newsom wants me to jump out of an airplane without a parachute. I'm up. By the way, the parachute's made of fossil fuels. What's the backup plan? As I mentioned on that New York TV interview, I'm 100% in favor of getting rid of oil. But we've had 200 years to come up with a replacement and been unable to do it. And wind and solar is not wind and solar energy, it's wind and solar electricity.
That right there, you have helped everybody that listens to this so much. And we want to help get this out more because it's wind, solar, and nuclear electricity. That's
right.
not
Coal, natural
energy.
gas, hydro. Hydro is fine. I mean, that's great if you have a location where you can put a dam and put
Nice waterfall.
Yeah, but again, it's only generating electricity, but electricity is needed for a lot of the things we do. But the most efficient, and the Navy found this out 70 years ago. When I fly, take a look at the airplane, take a step back, and you look at the size of that plane. Man, you want to get this off the ground? Or you go on a vacation, take a cruise, take a step back, look at the size of that ship. Say, you want this thing to move? But right now there's 50,000 merchant ships in the world. They're moving products from country to country, and they didn't exist 200 years ago. 200 years ago, there were sailboats.
You can't put wind farms on those cruise ships either.
Be tough.
You brought up a lot of great points here, Ronald, that again, as I talk about education and it's all coming together in unity, we don't know. We haven't been taught. We haven't been told. And just these small points that you're bringing up is opening a whole set of doors for us that's amazing. Just the fact that from coal, as you're mentioning, it creates electricity. I mean, but the byproduct, we're not talking about that right now. But they produce electricity, the wind, the solar, the nuclear. That's all it's doing. We call it energy, call it nuclear energy, but it's not. Not from what you're telling us today, right?
Right, just electricity.
It just helps us charge our cell phone.
Right.
And lights, there's other things that being fun with a cell phone, but so everything that we work from that process, that word energy is, as I mentioned at the first of this podcast, how important energy is. But if we're talking about, again, from the EV cars and what we're putting together, it's a lot more of the fossil fuels that are required to build those, and then the electricity that's generated from just those few other sources. Am I catching this right?
You're catching it right. Yes. You know, the everything that we've come up with, the green movement, every solution they've come up with requires oil to make wind turbines, solar panels, EV cars. It all requires oil. So if you're successful in getting rid of oil, there'll be no vehicles.
We
There'll be
got to
no
find another
hospitals.
way to make cars. We've got to find another way in those hospitals to make all of the equipment that we use, from keeping our heart beating when we have a heart attack. And you see the one we, I don't remember the electrode
Well, also
uses are
for,
to get us back to life.
for
That's all.
electricity, you want continuous, uninterruptible electricity. That's what nuclear gives you. That's what natural gas gives you. That's what coal gives you, the generating plants, because wind and solar is intermittent. And, you know, if you're a doctor, you don't want to check the weather report before you go into an operating room.
Yeah, I don't want to be in an operating room that's running off a unit that's don't know if it's going to be working by about halfway through my surgery either. That,
If the wind
oops, sorry
stops
about
blowing.
electricity. Wow,
But
what a new concept what this is bringing up.
yeah, it's not a new concept. It's just that people they just misuse the word energy. It's all inclusive. And when you talk about energy, talk about electricity or talk about products and fuels. That electricity, products, and fuels, those are the three things that quote, quote, consume the word energy. But wind and solar do something totally different than crude oil. And, you know, take a situation where Ukraine and Russia, they're at war. And I wrote an article says, you know, yes, Virginia, you know, the small guy can attack the big guy. And Ukraine is doing that. They're sending drones into Russia's refineries, knocking out the fuel supply. So the military is hurting, the Russian economy is hurting, and we're very, very vulnerable. Very vulnerable. We had a situation where Chevron, one of the units here in Southern California, caught fire and they had to shut it down. Well, Chevron provides 20% of the fuel to LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. And, you know, with the drone technology, all of our infrastructure is really, really, you know, exposed because you can knock out a refinery, knock out the fuel supply to the airports. And, you know, the government shutdown has been causing a lot of planes to be canceled. Well, you eliminate the fuel, there'll be a lot of planes being canceled too.
There's no doubt about it. That's almost, I'm even a little bit overwhelmed because I never thought about it that way. And this sometimes, and you've got tremendous education, being the professional engineer, the background that you have, and there's something that you have shared with us today that is actually so simple. Just the fact that that's solar electricity. That's not solar energy. That's not the wind
With
turbines. That's just wind electricity. The
we
nuclear.
are we are a materialistic society, and we basically take the 6,000 products for granted, from grease for the hair, the toothpaste, lipstick, you know, on and on and on. It's all just accepted as normal, but wind and solar can't support it.
Well, just since we've started this call, as I look in and just kind of glance at my desk, at my home office right here, and just see how many things it is theoretically, from my monitors to my laptop to my camera to my keyboard. I mentioned my mouse a few minutes ago, to, as we talked before, about the phone, just looking at all of the contraptions I have for all of the USB connectors I have set up here, uh, the earpieces that I have for the phones, everything here, almost everything here, is made out of a byproduct, a byproduct of oil.
Right.
I wouldn't,
You're
I
100%
wouldn't be
correct.
able to do this today.
If
We
we,
wouldn't be
you
able to
know,
talk.
Without oil, we're back to the 1800s. And life longevity is short. And, you have sailboats. There was no planes, horseback riding to go from point A to point B. Yeah, I mean, everything, motorcycles, skateboards, surfboards, it's all made with oil products.
And as you say, you live in California and you want to fly to Florida, they say, well, we're going to take off at noon. And if we have enough wind from the turbines that we'll be flying over, we'll be able to make it to Florida. But if not, we got to land somewhere in Kansas. I mean, that's just a concept that
if I had to fly an electric plane, I wouldn't make a reservation.
no, not at all. But and as we talk about the people behind the process, and we have the miners and the builders, manufacturers, how does being energy literate also mean being more compassionate? And I think, as you mentioned earlier, globally aware around the world.
Well, Mark, you're 100% correct. Because we have it, we don't want to use it inappropriately. We have to focus on continued improvement on efficiencies and conservation, because we will run out of it at some point in time. In our lifetime, no. It'll be there for us, probably for our grandkids, but for their kids, I don't know. And yeah, taking it for granted that, like I say, this is a 4 billion-year-old planet. We're just part of the solar system. And yeah, there's a lot of coal, a lot of natural gas, and there's limited amounts of lithium and cobalt, et cetera, et cetera. But being a materialistic society, we've got to come up with a substitute. If we don't come up with a substitute, we're going back to the 1800s. We'll be competing with the animal life. Yeah, it's going to be a tough world. It'll be a tough transition. And
well, I think
as the supply gets reduced, it's going to be more and more costly. Because right now, I think the United States has 185 refineries. That's all for 350 million people. And those refineries, they're not needed if you don't use the products. But if you need the products, you need refineries. And if you need the refineries, then you need to explore for oil, because that's the fuel for the refineries. Without oil, you don't need the refineries. California's in that situation. We have 2 refineries that are closing. A lot of it because of all the overregulation. They're a business, and they can operate businesses in other states more profitably than here. So we have 2 closing, which is eliminating about 20% of our supply of fuel. And the scary thing, Mark, is California's an energy island. We're separated from the rest of the country by the Sierra Mountains. There's no pipelines over those mountains. So all the fuel consumed in California, we have 9 international airports, we got 41 military airports. All that fuel is made in California. Now we're losing 20% of it. So where's it going to come from? The sad news is it's going to come from China. China has 8 new refineries coming online by 2030, just a couple years away. And it's really scary to think that China is going to be providing the fuel to run our international airports in California and the 41 military airports we have in California. That's a national security
Well, I look at that.
risk.
That's a huge national security risk. Excuse me. But as I think about that, as we talk about the taxes that they're putting on and how Trump is raising taxes for any kind of product bought outside the United States, what are we going to do? If China is, from what I'm hearing from you, if they have the refineries and they have the ability to build the products, where else are we going to be able to purchase them from? Because we can't build them here if we don't have the refineries, right? Is that what I heard you say?
That's exactly right. Yep. We
So
have
as
to
we're
be,
saying,
we have to be self-sufficient, and we're basically putting all the eggs in the basket that wind and solar is going to replace all that stuff. But it's not. It's only generating electricity. A wind turbine's not going to keep not going to keep LAX open, not going to keep all the hospitals open.
Not at all.
Might keep the lights on, but it can't make the lights. It can't make the defibrillators.
When that light bulb burns out, what do you do?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
So
going to sooner or later, right?
yes. And
All right. We've got about 5 more minutes. This went very fast. This information to me is astounding. And without a doubt, I'm going to send this out to a lot of people.
are
Hope
you ready
others
for
will
quiz?
also. So yes,
Ready for the-
please. Let's hear it.
When you have conversations, like you say, talk about electricity, products, and fuels. Eliminate the word energy. I mean, those are the three basic things we need: electricity, products, and fuels. Electricity comes from 6 ways to generate electricity, but the products and fuels got one source, fossil fuels.
Wow. Well, tell me, as we're closing down and getting to the end of this finally, Ronald, if you could leave our listeners with one spark of wisdom about life, about leadership, about learning, these situations and this literacy we're talking about, energy literacy we're talking about today, what would that be?
Have conversations. I've talked to your professors, talked to your students, talked to your friends, your neighbors, and talk about just three things. The world is materialistic, and we need three things. We need electricity, we need the products to run our society, and we need the fuels to operate all of our transportation systems. Talk about those three things. Don't use the word energy. Talk about electricity, products, and fuels. How do we maintain all of that to support us, our grandchildren, their grandchildren, in perpetuity? It's going to be a real challenge.
That is amazing. Wow. What an incredible, insightful, and eye-opening conversation with Ronald Stein today in the Achieving Unity Success Formula podcast. It is about achieving unity, and that achieving unity is us being educated. That literacy that he talks about. We can't thank him enough for breaking down such a complex, vital topic into clear, understandable concepts that are so relevant to all of us as we are striving ourselves for personal and collective improvement. Ronald's dedication to energy literacy, making sure all citizens, all of us, you and I, understand that full story of what energies compared to electricity's role is in our infrastructure, in manufacturing, in our daily lives. It's a profound service. And we truly appreciate his fact-based, energy agnostic approach. Again, I said this a couple of times, fact-based. He's given us so much to think about. The differences between electricity generation, material feedstocks, to the realities of supply chain and policy definitions. The governor of California, the decisions that he makes, as well as others. I don't want to just pick on him, that governor. But if we can bring that balance into our daily lives and organizations, then we can truly begin to live the heart of what Achieving Unity Success Formula stands for, where success is not just about what we accomplish, but about how we grow and achieve together. And thanks to people like Ronald and what we do. For all of us, if today's discussion ignited even a small spark in you, please make sure to check out Ronald's excellent books, including Energy Made Easy, Just Green Energy, and Clean Energy Exploitations. His work is a powerful tool to equip you to be more engaged and informed in the ongoing dialogue and our energy future. It's huge what Ronald's talking about today. Ronald, on behalf of the entire Achieving Unity Success Formula, the AUSF community, thank you so much for sharing your time, your wisdom, your passion. You've truly helped take a giant leap forward in our own journey of growth and understanding. Any last words, any other last things you want to talk about before we close?
Just have conversations.
Have conversations. Communication is key. Communication and collaboration are the keys that unlock our doors to success. So like Ronald's saying, talk about it. But when you say energy, make sure and confirm you're not talking about electricity. Ronald, we wish you the best. Look forward to your continued impactful work as you, I think, also turn that unity, that education into work for everyone. So remember, true energy literacy is the foundation for achieving economic and material unity for, like he said, all 8 billion of us. And it's a mindset of value. It's not just an ideal. It's knowing all sides to every concept, like energy literacy, unity, success strategies. They are a daily choice to lead with empathy, act with integrity, and uplift others along the way. And that's a service that we can share with others for free as we gain as much for ourselves as we do for others. Again, Ronald, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention today. I thought I was smart till a few minutes ago. I've learned a lot about it. So if what we share today is impactful, again, find Ronald on the internet. Make sure and find out what he's doing. Go to energyliteracy.net, look him up on LinkedIn, look for us. Come back and talk to us, the unitysuccessformula.com, markentricken.com. We're out there. Come talk to us. Get back with Ronald and find out more. And buy his book. Buy his books. If you know someone who's talking about energy or electricity, get back to Ronald. Ronald, thank you so much for being here. This has been insightful.
Thank you, Mark.
Until next time, let us continue to transform our chaos, which we heard a lot about today, that chaos that we have with energy and electricity, and turn it into connection and connect back to Ronald. But let us continue achieving unity. www.achievingunity.com. Call us 303-FOCUS, 303-362-8733, which I hope you'll always remember. We can stay focused, turning that chaos into connection as we achieve unity by harnessing the power and the strength of encouraging, inspiring, and including others in building better businesses, better lives, and a better world. Life is truly what we make it. So let's make it awesome together in unity. Thank you again, Ronald. Thank you. Thank you all for listening, everyone. Ronald, let's work together going forward. I hope to be part of the message that you take forward.
Have a great day. Okay.
Ronald, for your message of helping others, your time and your commitment. Hope to see you all again next week. Cheers.
Take care.